I hear it.
Okay, here it is. I hear it now. Ooh, there I am. There I go.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a second behind. We're
Right,
live, baby.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go.
Philly 4 Horsemen.
Philly 4.
My name is C Murder.
Murder.
In the building, CEO Prez.
And I'm Pretty Boy Day, aka Goddamn Day.
God
baby,
God
let's go. Hold up, I gotta do my mic trick. Y'all ready?
Oh, man.
Baby! Y'all like that, didn't it? See how the effect, like, it was like it got louder than it came, you know what I'm saying? I'll show. Okay. Listen, we got a very special guest today, especially with today's time and the way things are going right now. And y'all about to hear it. The way things going right now is deep right now in the city. We need protection. We need education. We need everything. We need it. But go ahead, Murder. You up, baby. What's going on in that city, baby?
Man, what's going on in the city? We was talking about the 16-year-old that got shot. You know what I mean? As far as what we was talking about, it's crazy. When I was saying, where the dads? The moms is in the way. What the moms doing? Let's be for real.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Let's get back to that because he got cut off.
I agree, but I believe it's our job to teach our men, our boys, how to be men, how to be a man. And shooting a female in the head is not it. That means somewhere something got lost in translation to where he thought that was okay. What was his process thinking? What was the thinking process that led to that? So we are going to give a shout out to our engineers, HOG baby. Listen, they get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Here go the card right here. I seen a commercial. I never knew what this meant, but I know now because I got in trouble for not doing this. Can y'all see that? Is that clear, Murder?
Oh yeah.
Y'all can see that?
Bring it in a little
listen,
bit more.
Listen.
They gotta read it in between the little lines.
Right
there. Just bring it in just a little bit. Bring it in. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
They see it.
All your needs, they got everything. Event space, event planners, studio, you need it, they got it, baby. You gotta come
and it's plus.
You know what I'm saying?
And it looks plus.
Hey, let's see if we can
five-star hotel
over
here.
here like this. You know what I mean? And bingo, I see it. Can y'all see it? HOG, baby,
I
let's get
can see it, and I know they can see it.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
All right, so platforms. How can you reach 4 Horsemen?
Oh man, I'm about to bless y'all with these platforms real quick. You can hit us on Facebook, Philly 4 Horsemen Podcast. You can hit us on Instagram.
Hey, this sounds like some spoken word, right?
Well, I'm breaking it down. All right. Instagram at Philly 4 Horsemen.
Philly 4.
You can also hit us on YouTube. Make sure y'all when y'all go on YouTube, make sure y'all subscribe. We need 1,001 subscribers.
Hold on, you gotta follow the chain of events. You gotta like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, they gotta do it all. Like, subscribe. I don't care what y'all do. Just subscribe. We need like 1,001 subscribers right now.
1,000. I want 1,000,000.
Man, I want a trillion.
I want a.
I want infinity. How about that?
What? I like it.
Let's get back to it. YouTube. You can hit us on Philly 4 Horsemen Podcast. Also, you can hit us on the email podcast 4horsemen@gmail.com. Podcast podcast 4horsemen@gmail.com. You can hit us on there. You can hit us on YouTube. You can hit us on Instagram. Listen, just hit us on all platforms. You know what I mean? Just show the love because we're going to get the love back.
All right, check this out. We going to our guests, man.
Let's go.
Before we go into the guests, I got a story to tell. I'm sorry. I got to tell a story.
Don't make it long.
We got a story.
We make it short.
I'm in Target. I'm minding my own business, just for the record. But the topic of conversation come up. Women, you are not the gift, part 1, 2, and 3. I hope y'all go watch that. But anyway, and it just so happens, I ran into a gift that just so happened to have other talents. So he has the same thought process as I do. He takes care of his family 100%. He pays all the bills, and he not one of them fake dudes that don't really pay all the bills. Because wifey was right there, and she was like, "Yeah, he take care of home. He does this," and he got quiet, and she started telling the story. That's the biggest flex of all, just for the record. That is the biggest flex there can be when the wife is saying, "Yeah, I mean, I can't argue. He does what he got to do." So in the process, ooh, perfect music. In the process, it turns out that this guy is so talented. He's multi-talented, and he's going to talk about that today. That he's not here to talk about how he's the gift, but we are going to touch on that at some point. I gotta slip it in there because I was correct, just for the record. So he's going to introduce himself now. He's going to give his name and different platforms that you can reach him on, and then he's going to tell us his story.
Cool. What's up, yo?
Let's go, baby. What does it do, baby?
Nah, you know already.
Hold on. You can't smile, bro. This is my show. Only my pearly whites get to.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Thank you, sir. You can talk, but you gotta talk like this. It's like, nah, go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
I couldn't do that if I tried. That's not one of my talents.
Gotcha. So what is your name?
So I'm Jabril Blackwell.
Jabril Blackwell.
All right.
Awesome. What do you do, Mr. Jabril?
I have a company where we teach people how to protect themselves, usually through the method of firearm training and medical training. We're getting ready to break into fitness and security fields as well. But right now, we've just been doing firearm and medical.
Awesome. So if somebody would like to view your skills and what you do, how can they view and get in touch with you?
I think the best method right now is Instagram. We have our page is Blackwell Training Group. Blackwell Training Group. If you type it in, you'll see it. Black square, 4 letters in there. That's probably the best way to get us. We're on Instagram. We have a YouTube page. We are also have a Facebook page, and I hate to say this, but we're also on TikTok too.
Hey,
I
everybody on TikTok.
But you know, TikTok is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're on right now.
How old are you?
I am 28.
28. All right. So now let's get to the meat of it. How did you get into the field that you're in?
So this was maybe, well, it's going on 10 years now. I met a person who ended up being my mentor later on, still is my mentor today. He brought me through the field of security. So that was initially where I started. I started learning the ropes of security. This man was an executive protection agent. He was at security. He did a lot himself. He was very talented. He's a firearms instructor. He was a lot of things. But he ended up bringing me and a few other gentlemen through security. And within that, after doing that for a while, naturally firearms training came within it. And he told me, I was maybe 20 at the time. He told me, he was like, I'm going to prepare you to be an instructor because people are going to need your help one day. And I've been a natural teacher. I've got 4 younger siblings. Teaching has just been always a thing for me. He saw that and he told me from the beginning, he was like, yeah, I'm going to prepare you to be an instructor. You're going to be an instructor one day. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, all right, whatever. And I mean, fast forward to today, that was my start. So I would say we probably took it seriously around 2015 and just practice, went on, learned more and more, kept educating myself. And I want to say 2020 was a wake up call for me, wake up call for a lot of people. At the time, I had been working at a charter school. Shout out to Vision Academy. All my scholars over there.
Vision Academy, what's up, baby?
Yo, what's up, y'all?
I was working there as a dean of students. And when COVID hit, initially we were like everybody else. We were like, okay, we're going to close for 2 weeks and we'll be right back at it. And 2 weeks just turned into 3 and then 4. And then before you know it, the governor was like, yeah, we're just closing schools until we figure out when. So at that point, my job, I dealt a lot with students and parents and planning field trips and culture, and everything was like hands-on interaction, people-to-people interaction. That was my entire job. So when COVID came in, everything was like, all right, everybody's going home. We're 6 feet apart, all that type of stuff. My job became obsolete. So very quickly I learned, oh man, just that fast, my job is gone. So that was between that happening and my wife, that was a big push for me to say, you know what, I've been training into become an instructor. I've been preparing to become an instructor all these years. I had a talk with her and we just decided, we were like, you know what, this is something that just needs to happen. I need to stop playing, and I know I can do this. So it's just time to do it. And like I said, COVID really
that was the push that you needed. That was the push that you needed.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you had siblings. Are you training your siblings as well? Are they way younger than you, or?
No, they're a few years younger than me, but they get training too. So
speaking of training, with all the violence and everything that's going on right now, do you think that? Okay, no. Before that, what age? Now that you are an instructor, and you started at 20, what age would you suggest maybe teaching your children about firearms and things of that matter?
I think before, like, you put like a cookie cutter age on it, I think it's more about knowing your child.
Okay.
And just kind of really understanding your child and your situation, where there are some kids, and I learned this just, being working in the school. There are certain kids that you would easily push into that and say, hey, we're going to talk about this. And there are some that you might say, I might hold this off a little bit, as long as you can be safe. I always had the moniker, like, you got to kill the curiosity in kids when it comes to it, especially when it comes to firearms. But I don't know. I would say it really depends on understanding your child, and the parent probably is the best first teacher for when it comes to things like that, because of course their relationship already. But like she's 3 now, my oldest daughter. When she was about 1.5, 2 years old, like, she would see me dry firing in my house, like practicing with my guns and stuff like that. And she knew from the beginning, like, finger off the trigger and point it down. Like, she was saying that at 1.5, 2 years old, like, finger off the trigger. And it was funny. I tell this story sometimes, that one day I was scrolling through Netflix and she was sitting right next to me, and I'm just, leafing through movies, looking for stuff. Then I just stopped and I got on my phone for a minute, and she's sitting next to me and she's at the TV. She's like, down. And I'm like, what is she talking about? But I look up, and whatever movie I had stopped on, it was a person holding a gun and they were pointing it up. And she was telling them, she saw that they had a gun in her hand, and she was like, damn. So I was like, oh.
And this was at 1?
She was about close to
1.5, 2?
Close
to 2. Wow, that's crazy.
So, I always say, or at least my belief is, that education is the way out. Ignorance is what causes the neglect. Ignorance is what causes the silly, like we were just talking about, the 16-year-old. Like,
right. So that leads me to my next question. Do you think that training and teaching with firearms would lessen the crime and stuff that's going on with the youth and the shooting? And I watched the video. These kids don't even know what they're doing. Like, there's a video of a shooting that happened on Oyuk Road, and it's a cut block right there. The kid was running this way like this and just shooting, running and shooting. And I'm not saying that he should know how to do it. I'm saying that if he had education about the firearm itself, maybe that might not have even been a thing for him. What is your opinion?
So I would say, yes, the education would help, but in a situation like that, it might help indirectly, in the sense of generally, it's funny because I've been accused even before, people have been angry once they found out what I did. They'd be like, oh, you're teaching these kids out here how to kill each other. Like, that's what you're doing, like instructing and things like that. But for me, it was always like, no, that's not the case. Because generally, and this was the case with myself, and we've taught a lot of children. Like, we've taught, I can like happily say that we've taught a lot of children so far.
Right.
But one of the biggest things that we note generally when it comes to understanding what these things are, when you really get to know this tool and understand what it does and understand the effect that it has, a lot of times people are more discouraged to use it.
Okay.
Because they understand it now. When you are never in a room with a gun that goes off, if you never shot a gun before, you've never been on a range and shooting a gun or anything along that line, you don't even know how loud a gun really is.
Right.
that alone could sometimes change people's mind and say, you know what, I thought I was a gangster, but that sound just scared me. So like, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to shoot. And I mean, not to say like that directly is the case, but usually when education is involved, people become a little bit more informed. That's when they start making better decisions. We hear this thing before, and a lot of times it's used. It's unfortunate too, but there's a saying that an armed society is a polite society, and a lot of times that's used on like the Republican right-wing gun type of deal. But when in reality, when we look at that, it's the case. If we are all armed in this room right now, and not only are we armed physically, but we are also armed with the education. I understand what this thing is. You understand what it is. You understand what it is.
Right.
We also understand that we all have it. We're not going to sit here and start no trouble with each other.
I gotta stop you.
Right.
That was my argument one time. And my argument when they was talking about taking away the fact that you need a license to carry and everybody can just carry the gun. So my thing was, if somebody is looking to rob me and they have a firearm, it's a lot easier for them to say, yo, I want to rob this guy, knowing the chances of him having a gun is like 0, but I got one. Yeah. But now thinking, hold up, I got a 45, he got a 45, so I might not want that problem right now.
But this is the case. It's crazy you say that, but this is the case when it comes to no gun zones. In, what was it, 93 or 94? The early 90s, when, you know, we instituted no gun zones, gun-free zones, federally protected areas that aren't any guns. 95% of all of the mass shootings happened there.
See?
And it sucks because
wow,
it is. And it's like, when you literally think about it, like, okay, schools, hospitals, clubs, concerts, these areas, there are no mass shootings in places where people openly and readily have firearms available. Now, the funnier thing is that there are attempts across the country all the time of mass shootings that get stopped by people with guns. We don't hear about it in the news because that would push forward a certain agenda that I believe is in the news media, that, you know, guns are bad and we need to get rid of guns and mass shootings happen. But like, the mass shootings that get stopped are way underreported. It's never talked about. And a lot of times, you know, it comes from regular people holding guns, carrying firearms, and they're educated and they know, they're instructed, they know how to use them. And they usually end up stopping the bad guy with the gun because they're a good guy with the gun. And it's
probably more trained and ready to use it and know more about the actual instrument than the bad guy.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, that comes through with education.
Right.
And once we are all as a community, as a people, more educated about it, we can make better informed decisions about it. Yep. Because I mean, me personally, the way I grew up, and I tell this story all the time, so if you heard it before, I'm sorry. But I grew up in Chester, right?
Shoot them uptown.
I mean,
okay, corral. But go ahead.
It's the mini hood. It's the hood.
Yeah.
So it's like, I always grew up just with the understanding of like, all right, guns are bad. If you have a gun, you a drug dealer or you a killer or you a cop. That's it. So when I came to find out in my early teens that my dad owned a gun, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, I know you're not a cop and I know you ain't a drug dealer. So what are you doing with a gun? And he was the first one to introduce me to it. I was about 14 at the time. He introduced me to the understanding of like, you can be a gun owner and be a good guy. And I have this for your protection. And that was new to me. Even the movies and TV, everything we watch, if the character has a gun, if he's not a bad guy, if he's a good guy with a gun, generally,
he's a cop.
He's a cop or he's ex-military. He's not a regular guy. If he's a regular guy with a gun, then it's looked at like, oh my God, why do you have this? But that usually doesn't happen. It's usually he's a cop or ex-military. So the culture is pushing this idea that, you know, normal people don't have guns. So when that idea is out there and it's pushed like that, you're not going to think that you need to get one. You're going to think, oh, I'm a normal person. Right. I'm not a cop. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not going to get a gun.
Right.
I don't need that to protect myself. And unfortunately, you know, I just think it's the opposite. Especially we see what's happening outside today. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to be killers or anything like that, but seriously, I mean,
it's just crazy out here. You see what's going on.
And I can't control what happens out my front door.
Exactly.
Because again, it's been a thing too. People have hit me with the, you know, I'll be at my mom's house or something. Somebody be like, why would you get your gun to go to your mom's house? And it was like, I didn't get my gun because I was going to my mom's house or anywhere for that matter. I got my gun because I was going outside.
Right.
And I can't control that environment.
Exactly.
I can't control what y'all are sitting here going to do right now. But the only thing that I can do is react to situations.
Right.
And for
Protecting
me,
yourself.
I want the best
Exactly.
chance of reacting in the best way that's going to allow me and my family to go home, or even other people that are just innocent. That
Because like
So-
this, you want to be home with your family.
Exactly.
I mean,
I gotta
you
go
wanna
home.
Make it home.
I gotta go home. Exactly. So the best thing I can do, and this is the best thing that I always encourage everybody else: educate yourself and arm yourself.
Right.
It's that simple. Because
Right.
with those two things, you got the best chance of, like I said, being able to deal with any type of situation that you come
Yeah.
across.
That's true. That's
So, I agree with you.
Mhm.
I got a little story.
Mhm.
So a friend of mine, yo Trav, what's up, baby? So he got robbed, but the dummy, I'm sorry, the assailant forgot to check him for his firearm. So I was on the porch for the record. Like I seen the whole thing happen, and I was like, nothing I can do because he's pointing a gun at Trav in front of his house.
Wow.
Trav shoots after he runs off. He shoots the gun up in the air. Scared him so bad he dropped everything that he just took and his own gun. It was out. It was so funny. It's a funny
That's
thing.
crazy.
So I only said that to you about when you spoke of being prepared and knowing people hearing the sounds probably never actually shot the gun, don't know stuff. But I did have a question. So you said that your father, you seen it at 14 and you had questions. How did that make you feel when you seen the gun? And I'm only asking because I have a few, and my son is actually 14. And he's excited about it. Speaking of, he has a class for children. I'm signing my son up so he know everything that he need to know, taught by a professional. Anyway, I would make sure before we leave that you give them the information.
Oh yeah,
on
definitely.
that particular class that you got coming up, because you got one coming up in
The 21st.
the 21st.
Right.
So I want them to know about that. How did that make you feel growing up once you realized your father had this gun, and like you said, cops, did that push you toward knowing about a gun later? Like, did that make you want to be more engaged when it comes to firearms, or was that just like, oh, he got it, thanks for protecting me? Like, what was your thought process?
Well, for the record, I didn't come across it. I was playing around in his closet and I came across his gun cleaning kit.
Okay.
So initially I was like, why you need a gun? I went to him and I was like, I saw you have a gun cleaning kit. Why do you have a gun cleaning kit if you don't have a gun? And he was like, cause I do got a gun. And he ended up taking me to the range and he showed it to me then and we shot it. And of course, it's a safe environment. I always say the first time I smelled gunpowder, I fell in love. It was that simple.
Okay.
It was that
natural.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we got TV, movies, everything else that, like, unfortunately, I think it is a negative thing about Western American culture. We do romanticize war. We romanticize guns and violence and things along that line. So I definitely have to say that was definitely a factor in what like drew me to it. But after I was drawn to it and after I, sat with other people, like I mentioned my mentor before who brought me through security, like he really educated me on firearms and what was going on with them. And after that, I was like, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer that I would, own a firearm for protection and carry one and, train myself.
So what is it that kept it positive as a child? And I'm asking for anybody else that have children that have own guns, and I'm asking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
What is that kept you positive? Like I said, my son is in love with it, and I actually hid them all because I told him, don't ever put your finger on the trigger,
Right.
always keep it down.
Right.
I taught him how to check and make sure that there's nothing in the head. But how did you keep positive? How did you not let that go to a negative thing to where, you're buying your own gun somewhere, carrying it with you in school or whatever the case may be, as far as not getting in trouble with it? Like, what was your thought process when it comes to knowing about the firearms? And you said you was in love with it. So what kept you from purchasing your own? Is they're very easy to get,
I would say it probably wasn't even me. It was between God and my parents.
Okay.
Literally.
Okay.
Right.
I would say I guess my parents, I was raised in a very conservative way, you could say.
Okay.
I didn't really watch much TV.
Okay.
It was a lot that I could definitely say. My parents kept me in books, and I guess they kind of kept me away from the negative. I wasn't in the streets. I was homeschooled since I was in first grade,
Right.
all the way through. I didn't go to school or at all or anything like that until I got to college.
Okay.
So I can definitely say that, like your question, like it was definitely all my parents and the law, hands down, that made sure I was cool. But the thing that I can say, like now, if I'm thinking about it now, what I encourage for parents and things like that to do, even especially when we have like kids classes and stuff like that.
Right.
The best thing to keep it with them is that a kid is going to be naturally curious. They're going to want to know about it. So I always encourage, if you own a firearm, show your kid. Show your kid. Let them know, especially if you know that this is something that they can handle. Show your kid. Let them know you have it. Let them know what it's for. This is for protection. This is not a toy. There's a difference between the guns you see on Call of Duty that you play on the game and this thing here is the real deal.
Right.
And part of that education is to really, ask them, would you like to go out to the range and shoot it and things like that? Take them out to the range. Once they feel how heavy a gun is, once they feel how cold that steel is and how loud that thing is, they see that explosion happening coming out the end of the muzzle, they'll generally, that puts a different perspective on it. Now, of course, there are going to be still some kids that are still super fascinated with it and still think of it like a toy.
That's smart.
That right. You said you were in that same situation.
We took him to the range, and he shot a machine gun.
Okay, cool.
And that was his first time. Second time, so he shot my. Oh, I might get in trouble for this one.
Oh man.
Well, it's out the bag now. He shot mine.
Right.
I let him shoot it up in the air. And I thought that would.
Please don't do that.
I mean, I was trying to.
What goes up comes down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Please don't do that.
So it was he was so curious. I would rather me be there with him than him sneak around with his friends so I caught myself controlling the narrative. Like,
you did it the best way you could.
Yes.
I respect that. Definitely. I understand. But that's what I'm saying. Like, please, don't do that again.
I got you. I would never do that again.
Because I can say an old lady was on the news and doing that New Year's when everybody be shooting in the air.
Right.
She said she came out the door just to say Happy New Year's and she felt something hit her. Come to find out it was a bullet.
Yeah, that happens.
So it's only falling out the air.
It's falling very, very fast.
And it
went up very fast and all the momentum stopped and it came to a point where it couldn't go no more.
And then it drops.
It drops.
It turns around and it falls down.
Somebody got
to pick up gravity. It's going to pull it.
Somebody died behind that.
That happens all the time.
People get killed behind. Yeah.
I often wonder, like, this was when I was young. Like all the bullets that go up, like are they going to space? Like this is something I really wondered as a child because my parents was Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't celebrate any holidays. So when the shooting and everything went down, my parents was in the house in bed sleep, but I was up and I'm listening to them. You know how it goes.
Right.
And I just wondered, like, what happens to it? But as I got older, I just stopped thinking about it. But when I was young, I really thought about it. So somebody can get hurt from it.
They can die.
They can die.
Yeah.
You can actually get killed.
Please, everybody needs to just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing.
All right, so what we going to do on New Year's?
Something else.
Firecrackers. Look. Firecrackers.
I'm joking. Yo, I got so many questions, man. I'm looking at the time, and I want to touch on I want to touch on this guy's smart. Okay, so
I hope so.
I was on his page,
I hope so.
And not only was he doing different videos and instructions and everything on how to shoot guns and different scenarios and stuff like that, he was talking some smart stuff. Now, I may not be the sharpest knife in a drawer, but I got a little bit of mental skills with me. I can think. I know how to problem solving. But he started talking about hemorrhaging and stopping bleeding. And what is that about?
So you're referring to the hemorrhage control classes, yeah.
There we go. What he just said.
Right. So that is all about, basically, it's stopping bleeding. Understanding how to identify life-threatening bleeding and how to stop it. That's
okay, so I want you to start from the beginning. So the beginning, the part where you got to give the medics time to come through because you got to know.
Oh, like the process of everything?
I mean, not the process. Like you had spoke of the reason why this is good to know.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So basically, what hemorrhage control is understanding the entire concept behind. If you learn how to make holes by learning how to shoot, you should also learn how to plug holes, because you could get your firearm, you could get your permit to carry, you could be carrying it, you could be training for years, do everything right, get into a situation. Somebody, you might have to draw your firearm and shoot in self-defense, and you might do great, and you might hit everything, but then you got shot in the process. So you just going to lay there and die? Like,
I want to know how to plug this hole.
Exactly. So there are so many different examples of videos. PNB Rock, for example, you see he just got shot and killed,
and he was alive for a while.
Exactly. He was alive for, I don't know exactly how long, but he was alive long enough to help him. And the problem is that, well, I don't want to say he was alive long enough for people to help him. Again, every situation is different. Situational ethics, nothing's going to happen the same exact way twice.
Right.
And every situation is a little bit different. But there are too many times where especially our people are injured or in the process of dying where they can still be saved. And the only thing that we can do for them is talk about what we don't know what to do. Oh my God, my baby. And we take out our phones and record their final moments. And that is the last thing I want to see is 10 people around me, 10 grown men around me.
Right.
Grown men. Nobody knows what to do. And y'all just want to sit here and record me dying so my wife and kids can see that? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Somebody better get down here and help me if I'm not helping myself.
Right.
And
I'm taking this class.
He's saying facts though.
No, because this is the thing. Because it's like, even for me, one of the things that really got me going is I could only imagine. Perfect example. Yesterday, I was watching the movie Southpaw. You seen that movie before about the boxer?
Yes.
Yeah.
His wife gets shot earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And the only thing he could do was lay there and be like, "Oh my God, baby! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Now, granted, again, like I said, not every situation is a situation that you can say, when it's your time to go, I really believe it's going to be your time to go. Nothing can change that. But that doesn't mean that you sit around and just watch. My instructor that taught me stopping the bleed, hemorrhage control, he has a saying that he always says, and Doc, I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching, Doc. But
shout out to Doc. Shout out to Doc. What's up, baby?
Still standings in Atlanta. He has a saying he always says is that we have enough bystanders, we need more by-doers.
Right.
By-doers.
So his whole thing is about teaching people the concept of being a street medic. That a lot of these shootings and stabbings and car accidents, natural disasters, anything that causes life-threatening bleeding, there are ways that we can stop it and prevent death from happening, at least until we get to the hospital. And that's where surgeons, people in the operating room, they can actually save your life.
They do their job.
But you need to get them there first. And that's the thing with cases like PNB Rock. If he's laying on the ground 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, that's time that his life could have been saved. It's plenty of people, and it's a lot of different channels on Instagram that highlight this training, and there are a lot of instructors that do it. Even here in the city, there are plenty of instructors. You got Born to Protect, LLC, Sigma Darren. You got True Breed. You got my man that was just here, Sam. He's a stop the bleed instructor as well.
Okay.
He runs a line protection group. You got female instructors too. You got Addison Dixon, that she's down in Chester with Tom Surplus Arm.
Speaking of,
yes,
who was your trainer?
My trainer was Doc, still standing. He's Doc. He's down in Atlanta. We traveled now. Me and the team traveled down to Atlanta to get the training.
Okay.
But
I'll tell you why I asked that question later, but continue.
Yeah. So basically, this is just important. You need to know this. And this doesn't just necessarily go for shootings and stat violence. Like, there are times people have gotten into car accidents and they've gotten clipped, arm cut, leg cut, something along that lines. And they can be saved in the 10 minutes it takes for the ambulance to get there. They might bleed out and die. It doesn't take, especially from like the femoral artery, like in your leg, it takes like 2-3 minutes for you to bleed out of that.
So I want to tell y'all how true what he's saying is from experience. I was beating this guy up, and
crazy way to start your story.
I mean, it was the truth. I was beating this guy up, and he stabbed me. He stabbed me twice, and my pop took a belt and strapped it around my arm and pulled it tight and said, "Hold this, don't let it go." So I'm like, I'm cool. Like I felt the heat. I'm cool. The doctor said while she was stitching me up, you're lucky your dad did that because you would have bled out because of where the wound was on my arm. It stabbed me. So when I threw the punch, he did the stabbed at the same time. So with a steak knife, just for the record.
This is cool.
Yeah. So yeah, what he's saying is 100% correct because he knew to do that. I'm sure he didn't take a class. He probably watched it on TV or something. But thanks, Pop. I appreciate you. But yeah, I was just telling you that because what you're saying is 100% correct.
Right. And I mean, literally, a lot of times I tell people like that training is probably even more important than the gun training because your chances of getting in a shootout are I mean, people think about that. And like when I say your chances of getting in a shootout are low, people are like, Joker, we live in the city. Like, yeah, but your chances of utilizing the stop the bleed training, the hemorrhage control is probably higher than you actually get into a shootout where you're going to be utilizing some gun skills to protect yourself. Not saying it's not going to happen, but again, the chances of you have to stop yourself from bleeding from you could be in the kitchen with a steak knife and accidentally cut yourself.
Right.
You don't want to. You imagine if you say all that training and you kill yourself by accident with a steak knife. Like again, you would feel so crazy. But like literally, that is important. And we teach that to kids too. We actually just did a kids class with Luke Otto over on Aspen Street. We just did a kids class with him, trained a bunch of kids on how to utilize this. And it's like I said, it's people all over the place, all over the country. They teach this stuff to their kids. They teach this stuff to other adults. And like I said, this goes back, an armed society is a polite society. Imagine you got a bunch of people around you that know that. Imagine that in the streets right now. Let's say on every block is one or two people that know how to stop the bleed.
I mean, it's less death.
Exactly. It's even a guy who this happened in Philly. A guy got shot in his chest 5 times. 5 times in his chest. It happened in front of this guy's house. He looked out his window and saw it happen. He ran, he grabbed his medical kit, his IFAC, his individualized first aid kit. He grabbed some chest seals. He ran outside, patched this guy up, held pressure. He called the cops, called the ambulance here, and they saved his life. And he ended up emailing the company he bought the equipment from and was like, oh my God, thank y'all so much. I didn't have to use it on myself. Some random guy out in front of my porch, he got shot. I went out there, saved him. Wow. And this stuff happens every day. Like, this is what I'm saying. This stuff happens every day. So it's like, when we learned about this training, I told my man, I was like, yo, we gotta go get this. Like, we have to go get this. And this is something that we gotta,
I'm definitely getting it. So now you gotta be honest. I know wifey might be watching. I need you to tell the truth. So we both know that women are very emotional creatures.
Copy that.
What is your opinion of a female going to get a gun license and carrying a gun? I know she watching. It's okay. Just let her be honest.
No, it's not because of her. it's really the thought process behind it. Because, like, honestly,
hold on, I forgot. Everybody, if you would like to call in and speak with our good brother here, you can reach us at
484
215
6015.
0623.
Oh, my bad. 06,
well, normally
0623.
Normally I do that part, so it's okay to.
Yeah, I had numbers mixed up, y'all. Don't mind me.
That's 484-215-0623. But go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
and ladies, he's taken.
You gotta keep mentioning that. But listen, my wife is home thanking you right now. On that note about women carrying, I think it's a good thing. I wouldn't say anybody shouldn't carry. I would say that if you decide that that's something that you want to do, really go and test your abilities. Go and test your capabilities. Because, and this is the thing for anybody that's going to carry a gun, man or woman, you are leaving your home with the gun. Mm-hmm. So it was your choice to bring that gun into the open world, right? When it was home, it was locked up, it was safe. Right. You're choosing to bring this gun out. Right. So if you're going to do that, you better be prepared. If you have to pull this thing out and use you may have to tussle with somebody for that. Mm-hmm. Are you going to do that? Do you like? I mean, and people hold training on this.
Look, you gotta realize, like you said, it's the territory behind having a gun.
Right.
You gotta realize once you get that gun, you're responsible.
It's stuff that comes with that. So
Yeah,
it's like one of the things that I also did was I trained a decent amount in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's something I love doing it. I haven't done it in a little while. I love it. Oh my God, I love it. And it's it's wrestling basically. It's
I'm a
form of
grappler for the record.
Okay,
It's
cool.
Absolute
So you
favorite.
understand.
It's not called wrestling. I am a grappler.
Yes.
I like to slam niggas on their head.
Right. You're right.
I like to choke niggas. I just love the skill of being able to get around and nullify punches and stuff. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
But like if you don't train in that, if you don't keep yourself physically fit, if you're not practicing, like I might possibly have to keep this gun away. Because like the worst thing in the world is you get the training again,
Right.
you got this gun and you pull it out and the Joker just snatch it from you. you like we're going. Like, could you imagine? This is what I'm saying. So it's like that's important. So I would say that for anybody, man or woman, like really consider that. And they have a lot of classes. You can find classes that it's called retention. Gun retention is being able to retain your firearm. There's classes on that. It's we're not teaching it right now, but eventually in the future, I want to get down that line and that lane because that's super important. And a lot of times, and it's unfortunate, and you see a lot of videos, people on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
A lady walking, they snatch the gun out their hand and stuff. Out their back, spawning their back and stuff.
They put the gun in a bag. They'll carry their gun in their purse and be walking around, and the Joker might snatch the purse, not even knowing it's gun.
Exactly.
You supply them with a gun on top of that.
My daughter does that. So I'm gonna send my daughter to your class. All my daughters are licensed to carry. I'm the only one that's not licensed to carry, but I got more guns than them. That's so funny. But so Lashaya is 21 now. She's going to get hers, but
cool.
Tahira, Amira, well, I'm sending everybody to you.
Cool.
Everybody's gonna come.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna get it right.
That's definitely.
But that's just a thought I would say everybody should consider before they carry a gun outside the house, because that might have to be the battle. That you might not get a chance to shoot. You might just be wrestling for the gun. Yeah. Because that happens too. I mean, there's plenty of videos of girls like carrying guns in the lower, like you said, the lower their back. And there's one video they was in a convenience store. This was like last year sometime.
That's what I'm talking about.
You saw what happened? He just went up and snatched it.
Snatched the gun and rolled.
And it was a guy in McDonald's. This is an older video. He had the gun in his back pocket, standing in line at McDonald's. And the guy behind him, like, looked. It was so crazy because the surveillance footage, he looked a couple times and kept looking and was like, that's a gun. And he just reached in his back pocket, took it, and turned around and walked out. And the guy had the nerve to turn around and try to run after him. Then he stopped and realized, oh,
he got a gun.
This bull just took my gun.
Right.
So, like, these are things that you really got to consider for anybody before you get out and carry. Like, you have to think about these things. And then you also have to have that, talk with yourself. Let's say you do everything right. And you do kill the person. Because we're not shooting to just play around with a Joker. Yeah. People say all the time, oh, give him a leg shot. Like I said, the femoral artery, you could bleed out in 2 minutes and kill somebody that way too. So, like, you could kill somebody, and now you have to deal with that.
Have that on your contract.
Granted, thankfully, I never shot anybody. I had a situation, 2021. I was working armed security, 52nd and Market, right after the guy, Walter Wallace Jr., was killed. Okay. This is the guy, he had mental issues. He was chasing around the cops with a knife, and they shot him. So they was riding down in 52nd and Market. And I say rioting. Black Lives Matter, they went through and they did their protest marching, but then there were others that were down there rioting, tearing stuff up, hurting people, all that type of stuff. And it was a situation where a group of people ended up clashing with the police presence that was down there. And somebody in the crowd started shooting. And people scattered everywhere. Now, this happened about half a block up from where we were, me and the team, and they came rushing down our way. And the sight of about a good 100, 200 people running towards you in a panic, and everybody's running everywhere. And earlier that day, I had been there since about 6 o'clock. This happened about like close to 11. I had been there since 6 in the afternoon. And about at least once every 20 to 30 minutes, somebody will walk past me. I mean, I'm in my gear. I'm in my uniform. I got my plate vest on. I got my gun on my hip, handcuffs, everything. And people walk past me often and was like, are you a cop? And I was like, nah, I'm working security for the store here, these couple stores right here. And it was like, go home. I was like, what you talking about? Because if you out here, when we come back, you're going to get effed up. Several people walked past me and said that. So I was just like, all right, this is part of the job. When that happened and I'm sitting there with that going through my mind, like somebody might think I'm a cop, somebody might see me try to grab my gun, whatever the case is. I don't want to say it scared me away, but I realized like, I don't want to be in that situation. it really pushed me away from working that level, that type of security, where it was just kind of like open, dealing with riots and stuff like that. I'm not interested, because it's like stuff like that, stuff can go down so easily. Somebody could mistake me for a cop trying to attack me. Somebody could think I'm trying to attack them. It's so much that can happen. And in that sense, like, it's a bigger chance that somebody that doesn't need to be hurt will get hurt, whether it be me or that. And it's just like, I don't want to be in that.
So I know the saying. I know the saying of, you know, it's easy to say what I'm going to do before you get in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I got a story I'm going to tell you after I say this. Mm-hmm. But isn't it kind of, like you said, you don't want to be the one to have to shoot somebody with. So in that situation, it's like you got a wife and a baby to go home to. Does that not help you to make the proper decision? Like, I don't want to shoot you, but you wouldn't feel it's either you or
no. I wasn't saying it like in that sense. I was just like, I don't want to put myself in those situations.
Oh, so preventative maintenance. Yeah. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I gotta do it.
Okay. You want to be all good, leaving and coming back.
I got you.
Because at the end of the day, even if you were to come across another person, you don't know what they know.
Right.
That person could be a trained killer.
Right.
You don't know what they know. That's why I say training is important, and you always need to keep that up, because you don't know who you're going to come across.
Which is what I said earlier. When I say that is not fair. This guy looks approachable. He looks like he's a really nice guy, but this guy is very well versed in martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he is very good with the steel.
I wouldn't say I'm good at Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's probably a couple guys on Instagram look like, yeah, I made your bro tap. Like, nah, I'm not good at Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
But they knew what you knew. But a person looking at you would not think that was something that you into. Until I seen the video, he had the guy on the block. He was, I was like, oh, snap. This isn't fair.
But that's one of the positive things that I look at when it comes to working security is that, you know, a lot of guys nowadays, they want to have the vest, they want to look mean, they got the Punisher stickers and patches and stuff, they got the long guns out.
Right.
That's not effective security in my personal opinion. Effective security is that I can look at you in the eye and I can smile and say, hey, how you doing? And you can respond, and you can see me see you, and I can see you see me.
Right.
And you know that I'm here. I'm laughing. I can smile with you. I can be approachable.
Right.
But go ahead and try some stuff.
No,
I got something else for you.
I disagree with that one.
Why you disagree?
Because visual can be a deterrent.
Yeah. So, no. Don't get me wrong. I'm out there with my guns. I'm out there with my vest on.
Okay.
I'm out there, but I'm smiling while I'm doing it.
Okay.
So that even if it's a bad guy who's saying, I don't care about that smile, it's like, okay, I got something else that you might care about.
Like this looks
we got a caller. We got a caller.
Oh, we have a caller.
Let's see if we can get him. Hello?
Hello, caller.
Oh, I got y'all. Hold on. There we go.
Yo, caller.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, baby. Yeah. We can hear you.
How y'all doing? My name is Amina. I just got a question. So I'm a female and I'm in my early 40s and I'm thinking about getting my license to carry. But for someone who's never shot a gun before, how do you determine what's the best gun to get for you?
So how you doing, Amina? That question I get a lot. The thing that I would say to do, first and foremost, you should probably take a class first. You never shot a gun before, so that's the very first thing that you want to do is actually go with a professional, go with somebody who knows what they're doing, shoot a gun first, and see after that if you still want to get a gun or not. And think about that. After you do that, if you say, okay, I still want to go forward with this, I think this is the best plan of action, you would visit a gun store, and hopefully you have somebody, a family member, somebody you trust that can help you out. The best thing that I can say about picking out a gun, again, it's not one size fits all. It's like shoes. It's like trying on shoes. So you actually have to go in a gun store, figure out what your price range is. I would say don't spend anything less than $400 or $500. And I know some people be like, dang, $400 or $500, but no, seriously, because you don't want to buy something that's $100 and it don't work when you need it to work. Right. Because this is a life or death situation, right?
So a legal gun is only $500?
What?
A legal gun is only $500?
Yeah, some is a little bit lower than that.
What?
I've seen guns as low as $198.
I gotta get my
license. You don't. Don't get one of those.
No, I'm just saying.
No, you want to spend that $5.
I want to hear what she's saying. Go ahead.
So no, I just have another question. So I also have a nephew who's on a autistic spectrum, and you know, because of his age, because he's in his late teens and just how the world is today, and you know, being around friends and so forth. What do your classes teach for that? Because I think he's over your age. You stop at 17, but I think he like more so like 19.
Okay. Do I have classes like? What do you mean? Because
For special needs, like, do your class teaches? Do you have, you know, do you teach special needs people as well, or because he's on an autistic
So
side?
do you have a class geared
specifically,
towards children with special needs, or if not, would a child with special needs benefit from your class?
Yes, that question right there.
So no, I don't teach specifically towards special needs. I don't know anybody that I could direct you to, and within that, I would say again, of course, every situation is different. I don't know what level or where on the spectrum that your nephew will fall. Again, that would be something that you, if you're his or his guardian, would have to really like think about and consider if you want to bring a firearm into your home if he's there, or even introduce him to it. The one thing that I would say for sure to give him, if not firearm training, give him stop the training at the least, because
and that's what I was about to say. Your self-defense class, I was just about to ask. So that class that you have, image class, is that for people over the age of 17 as well? Because I caught your show kind of doing it in the middle. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, that class. I mean, we teach to all ages. I have certain classes that I have going on right now that we're doing specifically for the youth. So usually it's like between 11 to 17, 11 to 18. We have other classes that we have coming out, I believe, and it hasn't been locked in yet, so don't hold me to it, but we're going to have a hemorrhage control class in Philly at the end of this month. It's going to be on Saturday, the 28th. And we're planning on making it free to the public. So if for real, when it comes to that, it's just going to be first come, first serve. Whoever registers first for it, that's the people that we have into the class. But I'm working right now with, I don't know if you're familiar with Maj Teray. He runs a solutionary center out of, it's right around 29th and Girard.
What's his name?
Maj Teray, M-A-J.
No, I'm not familiar, but I'm from there. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for answering all my questions.
I got a question for you, caller.
Yes.
We were just talking about women being emotional and getting firearms and things that way, things like that. Have you talked to your husband? Are you married? Sort of, kinda. Okay. Have you talked to your situation, your significant other about you getting a firearm?
I did in the past, and he told me not to because he was afraid that I was going to shoot him. But that's on the jokey joke side. That's on the jokey joke side. Like if he ever really do that, I might shoot him in his butt. But serious no. But serious, no. But on a serious note, we have talked about it, and the way that things are going in today's society, he's more leaning towards me getting one now, opposed to back, a couple of years ago when he was telling me no. And then I think it's also because I don't think he can get his license. So I think that's why I want to get mine also, just to make sure my house is protected.
So can I jump in real quick? The thing, because I know you got to go. The thing that I will tell you, if it does come down to you actually going and buying a gun, please do not let anybody talk you into getting a small gun. People say this all the time. It's a crazy mistake that people always make when it comes to women. They say, get a small gun, it's easier to handle. It's generally not the case. And I'll tell you exactly.
So a 22 long isn't good for a woman?
22 long is not something that I would recommend people go to carry. Okay. Because it's a very, very small round. You'd have to use a decent amount of them to actually do the type of damage that you would need less of in, for example, a 9mm. Okay. So I would suggest to get a 9mm. It's a very easy round to start with, very common, easy to find, easy to supply for it. And I would say go for it depending on your body type, depending on what you want to do with it, carrying wise, because again, you got to consider how big of the gun do you want if you're going to be carrying it on your person when you go outside. Right. And besides that, I would say try to always lean towards the bigger firearm. Lean towards the bigger firearm, and I would say try out different firearm brands. Hold them. Hold them. If you're at a gun store with a range, rent them, take them in, let them know that you're interested in buying. And a lot of times gun store owners, they'll like say, okay, here, try this gun, try that gun. And they'll let you take it into the range and shoot it. So you can actually feel, like I said, it's like sneakers. A size 10 Jordan on my foot might fit a little bit differently than a size 10 Jordan on yours. Even though we might wear the same size, you might say, oh, this is not comfortable. A lot of guns have different ergonomics, are built differently to fit in different hands. So find one that fits what you like what feels comfortable for you. Go with 9mm and lean towards the bigger gun. Bigger guns, when they shoot the same round produces the same amount of recoil. The bigger.
It's funny you said that because I went to a gun show before and I actually was looking at the smaller guns because I thought the smaller gun would be easy because I've seen when people shoot guns before, it has a lot of kickback. So I was like, no, I'm just going to get something small.
You can learn how to control the gun and it'll be a lot easier to control with a bigger gun because the bigger frame gun will absorb more of the recoil before it passes into your hand.
Wow, education.
How about that?
Yeah, that's a lot I don't even know nothing about right now.
Right, that's why I say you got to get educated. But definitely that's just that.
So I had a caller. Thank
Hey,
you for
fellas,
calling
you guys
in.
have a good day.
You
We
too.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
So I had a so you can understand what I'm going to say to you. So I had a Hungarian 45 government issue. So it was hot. But anyway, it had absolutely no kick. Like when you shot the gun, there was no, I'm gonna say a little. Now it had way more kick than my favorite, which was the P96. And that is my absolute favorite gun.
Yeah, it's a good gun.
But anyway, we're getting off the subject. So how was your day today?
That was great.
That's good. I had to get back in. I had to, as my manager would say, focus.
Get back into the flow.
Yeah. So where was I? I lost my thought because the caller came. What was we talking about?
I forget.
You forgot?
He was on the call.
Man.
Now, come
No,
on, my guy.
we were talking about hemorrhage control.
Hemorrhage control? No, we got past hemorrhage control.
Oh,
we
have
got
a
another caller. Let's see. And this might be the last caller. It's not. We started late. We started late. You ready? Let's see.
Hey, caller.
Hello.
Hi guys. So I came in like really late, but you're having like one of my favorite conversations in the world.
All right. I would like to say first that this is my daughter that I was telling you that has the license to carry.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is her. What you got to say, Nene? Tell her.
So it's so funny. I wasn't gonna tell nobody, but now I gotta tell because I need to make sure I'm getting the right one. So I went to a gun range before and I shot a Hellcat, and it's my all-time favorite gun in the world, and that's what I want. Can I get that? And that's the one I want to carry all day.
Are you asking me? Can you get it?
Well, no. So I guess a question what she want to know about.
The Hellcat. I would just say, have you fired other guns that are, because that's considered a subcompact or a micro compact gun. Have you fired other guns that are like that in other brands?
No.
I would just suggest doing it mainly because the Hellcat's a little snappy in the front. So the front of the gun is a little bit lighter than normal. So the front of the gun, after you shoot it, it snaps back a lot more than other guns that are generally around that same size. But again, it would be based off of what you're comfortable with. So if you shoot a few other guns, you're like, man, nah, the Hellcat is it. Then the Hellcat is it. What works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you. So I would just definitely suggest your best case scenario is you go out, you get that quote unquote education, get the experience by shooting a few other guns in that same size range, that same price range, whatever you're looking at. Shoot a few of the other guns that are around that same size, that same price range, like I said. And then once you're educated, now you can make an informed decision because it might come that you might not like the Hellcat. I did the same thing. When one of my first guns, I got a Smith & Wesson, like an M&P Shield. I love that thing to death. Then I got my Canic, which is a little bit bigger, still shoots 9mm. The Canic, I was like, I'm about to just throw the Smith & Wesson away now. Like, this is crazy. So I would just definitely say that the more you educate yourself, the better informed decision you can make.
So in case you didn't get it, he didn't say that it was
do you know who my dad is? I know how to comprehend what he said. I have really good comprehension skills because I had no choice but to have them growing up. But okay, so do you have an adult class for girls, like ladies, like women?
Yes, this is crazy. I wanted to stop doing this class, but I usually get a lot of women that ask me to do the class. I have a class. It's called the Women's Protective Workshop. What we do is in one day, we go over basic pistol shooting. So this is for beginners or people who have a little bit of experience. We cover basic pistol in the morning, and then towards the afternoon, we actually do the hemorrhage control class. So it's a package deal, 2-in-1. You get them both certificates in one day.
Okay, so are you going to have your information on here at the end?
Yeah, I would say if you definitely check my Instagram, I always post on my Instagram and Facebook page whenever we have a class coming up. So right now, We do have a pistol class coming up. It is going to be February. Ooh, you're gonna have to double check my Instagram page. It's February 26th, I believe. And then I have a rifle class that's coming up on March 12th.
Okay, caller, I appreciate you calling in, Miss
Yes,
Beautiful,
yes, yes.
Satiable Nay, baby.
Thank you for calling
Appreciate
in.
you calling, but we gotta go. Can you not call
Got to
so
go.
late next time? We gotta go, and I need him to give all his platforms in which he can be seen, the next shows. I need you to tell everybody about you.
Yes.
And thanks for calling, baby.
All right, so like I said earlier, Instagram is probably where we're most active right now. We always are posting content on training tips. We talk about firearm stuff. We talk about fitness stuff. Sometimes we talk about medical stuff. And
Come closer to the mic.
Oh, come closer to the mic. Okay, so
The 24th.
yeah, okay. So yeah, I am, like I said, we post actively on Instagram, and that is Blackwell Training Group.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you look on the YouTube in the description, I'll have it, or even on the Instagram story and stuff like that. All of the information is right there. Blackwell Training Group.
Gotcha.
Everything is there. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, we have a Facebook page. You could look us up pretty much.
So the same name on all platforms.
Yes, Blackwell.
That makes things easier, not 1026 gotcha for
It's straight to
Instagram,
the
and
point.
then
Straight to the
who's
point.
the man
Yeah,
on
man.
Facebook? Yeah, all platforms. So are you available to come back
On the 24th?
the 24th of this month?
Of January.
Yes.
I will say yes. I'm going to go back and double check my calendar. And
We're
double
gonna
check with my
okay.
wife.
We can. He fixed it. I'm about to say
But-
we gonna hold you.
All
You on the air with that?
No, I'm going to say it. I'm going to double check with my calendar and double check with my wife.
right.
And then, yeah, we should be good though.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Good,
Yes, sir. We
good.
appreciate you so much.
Yes.
I'm mad that we only had an hour.
Bro,
I got
listen,
so many
I'm-
other questions.
I want to keep going too. I was like, man, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast often. They go for 3-4 hours. I'm just like, that's kind of how I'm conditioned in podcasts
Right,
now.
right.
So I'm
Right.
like, great, dang, it's only an hour. Like, this is
So
nothing.
this is what I'm
Don't
going to
worry.
do to all my callers.
The 24th, we're going to do that for one time.
Okay.
Oh, bet. Let's go.
To all my callers, we're going to have. I personally am going to. We're going to have a raffle, and I am going to sponsor a class with my guy.
Let's
So you buy tickets or raffle. We're going to raffle it off, and whoever wins, I will. Whatever the next available class is, we are going to pay. The Four Horsemen is going to pay for you to come to his class and enjoy his class and learn and everything like that. Hey, let's get some platforms and all that good
All
stuff.
right, let me get into the business side of things. Any entrepreneurs out there that want to advertise your business, you may send all your information to our management. You can send it to podcast 4horsemen@gmail.com. That's
Can I get some music,
podcast
baby?
podcast 4horsemen@gmail.com. The fee is $10. So, you know, if you want to advertise it, send your $10 to $4 Horsemen Podcast. That's $4 Horsemen Podcast. You can cash app us $10. You can send that right over. We're going to move it down to the business highlight of the week. We got Beyond Expectation.
Beyond
and
expectations,
in the house. Our manager 1010, she's doing the thing, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, she's doing the damn thing. All right, I'm gonna sit here and curse, god damn it.
The
Fuck
pastor's
that.
here. What are you doing?
I'm sorry, but she's doing the damn thing. She's full service event planner. She's a decorator. She also organized everything. So you really go if you want to go to her for events, you can go to Beyond Expectation Events. You can hit her up on her IG at B-Event1. That's B-Event1 at. You can hit her up on Facebook, Beyond Expectation Events. You know what I mean? We're going to move it down to me, the CEO, the president, the chairman of Sky's the Limit Entertainment. Sky's the Limit Management. You can hit me up on my Facebook. That's my Facebook right there. I also do my clothing line, Sky's the Limit. Also coming soon, I will be having my real estate. Oh yeah. Also my real estate business. Also multiple businesses. You know what I mean? That's more to come. So you can hit me up on Facebook. Sky's the Limit Entertainment / Sky's the Limit Management. You can hit me up on Instagram. See murder. Oh, I'll post it right there because right now I'm tired, so I can't really remember all this because I'm doing all these platform sayings right now. But I got y'all. But moving down, not just desserts by our manager Heather. Oh, you supposed to do the MJD, man.
Go ahead, you got it, man.
Oh man, listen. She makes the food so good, makes you want to smack your mama.
Smack your man.
Yes. She full service event planning. She's a caterer. Hit her up. She do all types of events. She will show you love, and her prices is good. She works with you. She also be working Sunday through Tuesday at Chills and Cheers on 5835 Rising Sun. You can follow her on IG or Facebook. The same name, ain't nothing different. You can hit her up on Instagram at Not Just Desserts. Also, we're gonna move down to all platforms. Thank you for following us on all platforms. You can hit us up on Facebook, Philly 4 Horsemen.
Philly 4, baby.
Podcast. You can hit us up on Instagram at Philly 4 Horsemen. You can hit us up on YouTube at Philly 4 Horsemen Podcast. Also hit the email podcast 4horsemen@gmail.com. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Lastly, House of Glory Events, baby, 5245 Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19144. Also, if you want to hit the web link, www.link.tree/HOG events, booking at houseofgloryphilly.com, baby. Give them a call at 484-466-8416. House of Glory, baby. We out.
Yes, sir. Philly 4. Tune in next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We out of here.
Hey,
y'all.
you got to help us with one thing.